Well, welcome to the podcast. And yep, thank you very much, everyone. We're back for another season. We've gone back a couple of years. I've gone back to a good mate of mine now who I met just over 2 years ago. He was a resident of Louisiana. He's now what they call a very, very high demand chef to the stars, private chef. He's an entrepreneur. He's an all round good guy. We're going to have a chat to see how things are going in LA. Welcome to the podcast, Ryan Rondeno. How are you?
I'm good. Good.
Mate, you're
Thanks for
looking
having me again. It's great to see you as again. It's been so long.
Mate, it's been so long. I know we keep in touch over the socials, but it's been amazing to watch where you've come from 2 years ago. I think when we first chatted, it was the end of the first wave of COVID. Most of
Mhm.
LA was locked down. You were trying to see, well, how am I going to keep going? I'm a chef, but all the restaurants are shut. There's only takeaway or takeout, you guys
Yes.
call it in the States. It
Yes.
must have been a tough time back then.
Yeah, it was a tough time for a lot of people. I
Mm,
think it was a time where there was uncertainty. Things were
yeah,
taken away. Livelihood was taken away from a lot of people. So
yeah,
it was just a matter of how do I pivot? How do I still make this work?
yeah.
Um, you had a couple of choices of, do I want to stay in this industry or do
Mm,
I want to try something new? So, you had a lot of people that, ventured into different arenas, all
yeah.
things they always wanted to do, and it worked out well for
Look, you're a very talented chef, and you're very highly regarded around LA. I mean, we know a lot of the stars and a lot of the so-called known people over there use people like you for their private parties because that's just the way they go now. That's how they roll.
them. Yes.
And you're good at what you do, but when you first got into there, you've now gone in. You've got your own app. You've got your own recipes. You've got your own rubs. You've even got your own T-shirt line, which I think is hilarious for a chef.
Yeah. Yes.
What was the mindset? You've really made a go of this. You've been super successful when a lot of other people have gone the other way. What is the difference with Chef Ryan, and how did you decide to go down all these different routes?
Well, I mean, I think the first things first. First things, before all these things started, is still to the first point of uh, the restaurants you worked at back in the day. Stay
Yeah,
stay true to yourself.
yeah,
And everything will, fall into place.
yeah,
So you take those teachings and apply it to different things, products, apps, all those things. Stay true to yourself, and it'll come in place. It may not come at that time to that magnitude, but you keep working hard. The perseverance, it'll happen for you.
What do you think is the difference when someone wants to book, say, a chef to have a party at home? I mean, a lot of people in the States now will have 10, 12, 30 people at home and they'll ring and they want to book a chef and want to book caterers to come in to do everything. When someone's looking to do that, what is the point of difference that guys like you who are successful have over the other guys? I mean, apart from the quality of the food, there's got to be something more to it.
I think the quality of the food, that's one. The style of cooking,
Hmm.
that's another. You kind of bring on those different teachings of where I come from,
Yeah,
and kind of mesh it to where I am now. So it gives people a different genre of cuisine they never had.
yeah.
Versus, you may have a local chef, they're going to stick to that style of food. You may see things you've seen all the time, or not. So it's just staying in your zone, staying in your lane, and really showing people what your food is all about.
So coming from Louisiana, living in LA, totally different in so many ways. You mentioned, and I'm going to hold you up to this, you mentioned this style of food. What was the most important style of food you brought with you when you started doing this journey of private chefing?
um, that's a good question. Seafood,
Yeah,
seafood from the Gulf of Mexico. Um, it was something that I definitely brought. Um, the crawfish, the
yes,
Gulf shrimp. You had
yep,
the cobia. You may not see. Yeah, there's red snapper out here, but in the Gulf you get mangrove snapper. you get drum, you get redfish, all these different styles of seafood that you're able to bring to the West Coast and give them a whole different flair of uh, what we eat, our style of food. You had really had to debunk the myth of everything is spicy, everything is fried.
Yeah.
So you really want to show them that
It's healthy.
it can be local, sustainable, just
Yep.
like any other place. But our our strength is building flavors, and that's what we do in the South. We build flavors, and we really execute it well.
We'll get to flavors in a minute. And people can understand that when I'm talking to this man, this is how he built his business. This is how it's made him so successful. Another part you do pride yourself on is using sustainable food.
Yes.
How important that is that today when in the business of being a restaurateur or a chef or a caterer?
I mean, it's very important. I mean, it's just not of today.
Hmm.
It's way back when. It's way back when your grandparents, your great
Yeah.
grandparents, they were cooking. They use what they had, which was local, sustainable.
Hmm.
It could be from a farm stand. It could be from a little market. But what was fresh, what was in. So you tell that to this day. It's step and repeat. We're doing the same thing that they were doing back then.
And you've got the most amazing range of rubs. Now, you've told me before you got a big family, they all love to cook. Are any of the rub recipes stolen from anyone in the family?
None.
You're saying that to me without
Hey,
even blinking.
I'm on camera. I'm saying this. There's none. This is all original.
We'll take you on your word. When you decided on the range, from a business point of view, how did you decide what you're going to put out there? And even though you might have loved one, you think, well, that's probably not going to sell.
Well, I mean, you look at flavors. You kind of just even before the spices came about, the spices I've used generically, even in cooking, all those different styles of flavors that you're putting together to make something really pop, make the dish pop. And that's what I love about the spices that I have.
Yeah.
They're unique in their own right, and they really make the dishes pop and really take it to another place.
Have you got a favorite?
That's tough. That's a tough one.
Well, if I'm going to put,
There's nothing like the Creole. There's nothing like the Creole spice.
because I'm
But
going to put the link in the show notes to all of these.
yes,
So people are going to say,
that
well, what's the boss like?
there's something special about the smoked coffee.
Really?
The smoked coffee, especially if you're doing um, barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbecue, it's a different movement. It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
So smoked coffee is one of my favorites that I love to use.
Now, I haven't seen this before until you actually brought it out. Was the app that you came out? I mean, everyone's seen apps, yeah, but there's not many
Yeah.
chefs who were willing to put their recipes on an app for anyone to see. I mean, was
Well,
it born out of necessity, born out of COVID, or just born out of you needed to make a few more bucks? Now, come on, let's be honest.
I guess you could say all of the above.
Yeah.
So it came about during the lockdown, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was the first 2 weeks where everyone was shopping, everyone was buying food, because your family's at home, kids are at home.
Yeah.
So, you've gone from parent to doctor to lawyer to counselor to personal chef now. So you have all these things in the mix. But in the end, you still have your go-to dishes. So those things run out quickly.
True.
So the purpose of the app is to really give you a more foundation of, I can cook this, try this dish with my family. I can try this dish with my family. So we're always doing something different, and everyone's always satisfied with what's on the dinner table.
I'll share a funny story with you. My wife was at work the other night. So, as we were discussing, my daughter's just had her second child. But last weekend, of course, she hadn't had it. So she said, "What are we going to cook?" And I said, "So I got one of the gluten-free books out because she's a celiac." And I said, "Because we now cook everything from the start." I remember I was talking to you about that, and it's the best flavors. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're gluten-free or not. Cook everything from the start; it's better. And so I got this book out, and it's sweet chili chicken something. And I went down. I said, "Oh, I've got all this. I'll follow." I had never cooked it before, and I'll follow it to a T. Followed everything to a T. Smells were magnificent, very sweet. The chili,
Uh-huh.
the garlic, the cumin, everything. Cooked some rice up. We sat down. Now remember, my daughter is 9 months pregnant. We sat down, bit in, chopped all the chicken up, cooked it up, bit into it. Flavors were magnificent. And then it kicked. Oh my golly gosh. Either I put too much paprika in, I put too much
Uh-huh.
something in. It had the most amazing spice. And she's looked at me and I've just gone, oh no, she's going into labor because it was so spicy. And she just looked at me and said, Dad, I think you might have need to cut it back a bit. And with recipes, have you ever yourself followed a recipe to the T and it hasn't gone quite the way it should?
Yes, of course, of course, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every recipe you may have to adjust
Yeah.
according to what you have, according to even according to your stove. You know,
Yeah.
some ovens cook uh, faster than others, more efficiently than others.
Hmm.
Some are calibrated, some are not. So
Yeah,
it
chefs
just
don't use
depends.
weigh. They don't weigh things. I mean, they put it in their recipes. I've seen you cook. You get a bit and you throw it here and you throw it there, and
Yes,
you know,
but I mean, I say get a foundation for it, foundation for the recipe, and really have an understanding for it. You know, I think one of the things is to read the recipe twice before you start.
I've read it more than
So
twice.
yeah, you're comfortable with it, just to make sure you have an understanding for okay, if there are any changes I need to make, okay, I can do it, but still feel confident about doing the dish.
Yeah, half the spices next time. So I don't nearly. I put my 9 month pregnant daughter into labour.
She was ready to pop the baby now.
Yeah, yes. We've had it a couple of days ago, and she's back home. So everyone's loved, and everyone's at home and giving cuddles and all that. So I think she's getting about
Awesome.
3 hours sleep, and then bub back up, which is like every newborn.
Of course. Of
And
course.
Nana's
That's the
got
way
some, and Nana's got another one to fuss over.
that's the way it happens.
That's the way it should happen.
Yeah.
We're blessed.
Yes. That's amazing.
When you look back now at COVID and all the opportunities, what was you could have chosen to do nothing, sit in the corner of LA and feel sorry for yourself. But that's not you. Anyone that's met you, anyone who speaks to, no, that is not Ryan. That is not
They,
Chef Ryan.
anyone that knows me, that's not my DNA. You
No.
know, even on a bright summer day, we're gonna find something to do.
I
You
think
know,
that is
really
what
focus
saved you.
on do. Yeah, it actually elevated me.
Yeah.
You know, elevated me to a different level and got to see different opportunities just by taking advantage of what was given to me.
What would you say to young chefs, young plumbers, young anybody who is looking to do it? And it's very easy to get caught up with the rubbish that's on social media, pulling you down, telling you how bad things are. And you can choose to ignore it or you can choose to either embrace it or let it pull you down. What would you say to people who are facing the same thing as what you faced in LA to come out as successful as you have been?
Well, first thing, stay off those certain pages of social media.
Yeah.
Not good for you. But I think for the most part, find your niche. Find what works for you
Mm.
and really excel in and be great at it. Um, because you can't do what everyone else is doing. It's okay to stand out. It's
Yeah.
okay to go the other way, go against the
Love it.
grain.
Yes.
And that's what brings a lot of attention to you.
Yeah.
when you're not following the crowd. So that's what I would say, and really continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to persevere.
There would have been times in that journey the last few years where it wasn't going well. What did you do? I mean, did you have someone at home that's kicking you in the butt saying, mate, get back out there, it's going to get there? Or did you just look in the mirror and go, Ryan, come on, man?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of both. I
Mm?
think you always have those friends that uh, hold you accountable.
Yeah,
You know, not just so or you're a great chef, you're great at this, you're great at that. You need those that like, yo, what are you doing?
yeah,
You know, let's go,
yeah,
let's get it done. You know, so that's what really helps uh, push you forward. You know, because you got to be there for each other
yeah.
for to help each other grow, help each other succeed.
Now I heard through the grapevine that you might be starting your YouTube channel again. What is
That's
that
the
all
word on the
about?
street.
And what are you going to
That
be?
is
You're not going to be teaching us how to sew or how to do macrame or something, are you?
no sewing. We're not playing the violin.
No.
No
Good.
orchestras. All things food, all things different subject matters
Hmm.
of the food culture community.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, different dishes, easy dishes to some intermediate dishes,
Yeah.
but something that's just like the app, quick,
Yep.
easy, and flavorful. So the goal is to really not really overwhelm someone, but really challenge them and try
Yeah.
different things. Try different things they normally wouldn't do.
Love it.
So that'll be a goal. The challenge of really putting out video after video on YouTube.
Yeah. One of the most popular books in Australia is actually called The Four Ingredients book, and that's all that's in it.
It's four ingredients.
Four
Okay.
ingredients. That's all, every meal is made up of four ingredients.
Yeah.
And they've got a
Yeah.
break. They've got about four different versions. Funny of the four ingredients books, and it's great for people when you're busy.
That's true. That's true. I mean, plus we have so many things in our pantry already. You
Mm.
know, just through research, you'll find that you have these ingredients already. It's just researching the idea, researching the recipe to really execute it.
Now, without giving away any names, in the last couple of years, have you had any, let's say, funny dinner parties you've cooked for, or where things have just been it's been an absolute pleasure and a hoot, as we call it in Australia, to cook for a group without having, because we know that you do a lot of people and they like to keep their names out of it, but without letting out, is there anything that's really stood out?
Um, I mean, lot of different award shows,
Yeah,
award the Emmys, the
yeah,
ESPYS,
yeah,
especially the ESPYS, because I'm always a sports guy. So you seeing different athletes, up and coming athletes, coming around and really enjoying themselves. Um,
So you
I had a
didn't
chance
just
to
have
cook.
a whole heap of pickups in the back with everything being cooked down on the back, and they just walk past instead of being on a big table. Is just go down to this ute and that cark and that and pick up what you want.
Well, I mean, it was crazy. I had one dish, so everybody comes around,
Yeah,
grabs a bite here, bite there, go from table to table, booth to booth,
yeah,
repeating the same process. Um, yeah, athletes come to my table ordering food like they're at a restaurant, like can I get a 10 piece? Like 10 piece. It's like one and go, one and
yeah.
go. So those things you do with athletes, they just can't have one, or they feel like I don't want to come back to your table, so I'm just gonna get it all at once.
Oh wow! And there's some big boys there too, from what you
Some
see.
big boys. Those are some big boys, and I've cooked for some big boys, so I can understand that this one bite is nothing to
How do their parents afford to feed them growing up?
them.
I mean, we're seeing the same in Australian rugby in league and union over here, especially with a lot of the islanders that live in Australia now.
Uh-huh.
They're big. I mean, at 18, you look at them and you're going, I'm glad I'm not tackling them on the footy field.
Exactly.
And they eat.
Yeah.
And most of them are pretty clean living too. So, oh wow,
It's insane. It's definitely insane.
mate.
But I think one of the funny ones was Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was
Yeah,
funny guy,
yes,
educational, smart guy, but
yeah.
really good guy to be around.
They said he's having a few health challenges at the moment, so hopefully he'll get through that.
Yes.
How do you, in business? I mean, you would be employed. There would be times that you have a difficult customer. Like if anyone
Hmm.
watches the below decks, you see some of these so-called people who think they know what they're doing, being critical of the chef, and you look at them going, they're absolute idiots. I mean, the food is top class. In anyone in business, what tips would you do for someone where they're being difficult and then you know there's nothing wrong with what you've served up? How does the chef handle that, and how should someone handle it?
Well, I mean, you don't react to the situation, because if you do, it escalates, and you find yourself in a situation that you can't get out of.
True.
You still have professionalism about it.
Mm,
Understand their needs, understand what they're looking for. But
mm,
that should be even from the start, because you understand what they like and don't like.
yeah.
Even the menu process. So once you get to that agreement, that's where you can really zone in and look to execute high quality food. So just keep a
Mate,
cool head. As the best as you can, keep a cool head about
mate, I think anyone who was getting cranky would only have to turn around and look at your big smile and they're going, how am I going to be cranky with that person, you know? He's always
it. It
laughing.
can't.
He's always full of
It
love. So,
can't.
you know.
I'm gonna invite him in the kitchen. Let's talk for a minute. What's
Oh,
going
yeah,
on?
you've got all the knives. They don't. Buddy,
Exactly.
before we wind up, if you had anyone in the world that you could ask to cook for you, who would you love to cook for Chef Ryan?
Gee,
Because you cook for
who,
everyone else. You cook for the stars. You cook for big
who's gonna cook
business.
for
You cook
me?
for Emmys and everybody. It's certainly not Colonel
Um,
Sanders, and it's certainly not.
we're not talking about Colonel Sanders.
No.
We ain't talking about Popeyes.
Who would Chef Ryan, love to cook for him?
Well, I have a list. There's always a
Just
list.
pick one or two. Come on.
You know, Chef Mark Forgione, he's always a favorite.
What does he cook?
Oh,
What's his style?
his style, he has I would say more of American regional style. He's a chef
Yep.
in New York.
Yep.
So he's always a favorite.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that's tough. That's so tough.
I love stumping you. I really do
Yeah,
because it's not often I get to do it.
there's so many people. I mean, because you can go from Alain Ducasse, you can go from Andrew Carminelli. You have man, this is a tough. You got me on this one.
Hey, that's what I
I
like
don't
to
know.
hear.
There's so many people. I don't know
It's
that.
yeah. Look, I think when you're eating food and that, I've been eaten in a hatted restaurant in Hong Kong to a small diner on the road in Vietnam, and it's got nothing to do with quite often where you're eating. It's normally to do with the chef, and when
Uh
they're
huh.
cooking with love, and from someone who loves their
Yes.
food, it comes through. One final question before we wrap it up. What would you say to people now as we've come out of this COVID, we're all getting going again, and you've got a young chef? He's done his time. He's just about to finish his apprenticeship, and he's about to walk out of that restaurant that he's been at for 3 or 4 years,
Hmm.
and the world is open. What do you say to someone like that? The opportunities are there. Do you tell them to go and work on a super yacht in the Mediterranean? Do you tell them to go overseas? Do you tell them to go and open their little own food truck down the road? What do you do?
Um, I think first I'll find out what's their goals in life.
Yep.
If it's opening something up at an early age, go
Yep.
for it.
Yep.
Go for it. Pursue your passion. If this
Yeah.
is what makes you going to get up every day and fulfill it to the highest level.
Yep,
pursue it. So that's what I would tell a young chef.
mate, awesome. So now you've made us all hungry. Now you made us all want to be chefs again, or at least try to be, and put too much spices in a meal and nearly send your daughter into labour. Where do people find Chef Ryan, and how do they buy your rubs, your crazy t-shirts, and get hold of your app?
Come get the app, the crazy t-shirts and the rubs. You can find that on my shop page at rondinoculinarydesigns.com.
Yep.
You can find me on Instagram at NolaChef 212.
Yep.
On Facebook, at Rondino Spice Collection and Rondino Culinary Designs. And you can come and join the my group page, the Food Culture Community. As stated before, we have the Food Culture app.
Yeah.
That's out on Android and Apple. And now becoming the Food Culture Community on YouTube.
Ooh.
So come over, subscribe, come join, say hi, and then we're gonna cook together because we're gonna eventually gonna put up videos and also working on a schedule to go live.
I can see Chef Ryan goes around the world, and you'll be in the
Yes.
Bahamas soon, cooking up on the side of the boats there.
Yes, we're gonna do some live events. Looking for y'all to join.
Oh, mate, that's fantastic. Look, it's been absolutely brilliant. I do normally finish with have a groovy day, but I'm not going to today. I'm going to say thank you, everyone, for joining in. Get a hold of this man. He is an absolute legend. He's a very nice guy. And as we say at the end of this one, have a spicy day.